G'day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another GuitarWank podcast. I am your host, Troy McCubbin. You've got no choice. Welcome to another GuitarWank podcast. This is number 91. 91. So there you go. All hell is breaking loose in the world, ladies and gentlemen. My God. California is burning. I just flew in from New York. I spent 4 or 5 days in Brooklyn and just flew back. So that's why we're running a little late this evening. So apologies for that. But I just got in late and I was like, I wasn't even going to do an intro. And which some of you may have been happy about. But I thought, why wreck the consistency that I've had for 91 shows? So here we go. Yeah, California's burning. America's nuts. That's all I can say. Really appreciate some of the emails that I got from last week. Of course, I was extremely upset, as we all were and still are, I hope, about what's going on around us. And it's so fucked up because this whole time I was traveling on this trip with my family as a father and just as a man, I guess. The whole time I'm thinking, all right, shit goes down. What am I doing? How am I going to deal with this? What am I going to do? Who's going to hit the floor first? And that's what runs through your mind now as someone who lives in the greatest country in the world. Yeah, that's a dig. All you foreigners get it. And I know a lot of Americans get it too, but it's just that small percentage fucking idiots that they don't get it. But that's what goes through your head. You're in a public place and you're like, wow, because you hear all those people, they say it, never thought it was going to happen to me, and then it does. So yeah, so that's the whole trip. I was like, wow, if shit goes down here in this public place, how do I protect my family? What do I do? Yeah, it's nuts, man. It's fucking nuts, and it sucks. But I'm not going to harp on that this week because I did last week, and what are you going to do? You just got to get on with your life, don't you? As we all do, I guess. But yeah, if you're going through some serious shit out there, man, my heart, it really feels for those people that are going through heavy shit. Because you're right, it doesn't. We all sit back and send our thoughts and well wishes and prayers, and as I do on the show, and it all means shit until it happens to you or something happens to you and your family, and then you're going to deal with it. And way to bring the show down, Troy. You're driving, you're like, man, GuitarWank, and Troy just fucking bums it down. All right, stop. Enough of that shit. I've stopped. But we are burnt. I'm watching the news and California is burning. We're losing homes. It's nuts. So many fires. I didn't realize this was going on until I just got back into town. So that's, man, that sucks. I'm not going to say it. I send my thoughts and prayers. I'm not going to do it. We're going to continue on with, let's get into it. Shut up, McCubbin. Let's get into it with what we were going on from last week with Shane Theriot, or Theriot. Yeah, we're going to do that. Back to Shane. We'll finish that up. I actually text Shane. Well, they had was it a hurricane or something heading towards them? Nate? Was it Nate? I can't remember. Nathan. There's so many hurricanes these days. Who can keep count? So I knew Shane was in New Orleans, so I texted him. I was like, mate, you going to be okay down there? What's going on? You right? He wrote me back. He's mate, it's a bit of rain. Nothing. It's a bit of rain, mate. So no big deal. Anyway, so Shane's got a new album out. Check it out. It's really great. Great tones, great player, great guy. Still Motion. Shane, we're going to be playing a few tracks off that throughout this podcast. We'll get back into where we left off with Scott Free, because Scott forgot to turn up to GuitarWank. What the fuck, Scott? I don't know what he was thinking. Anyway, he was in writing mode. He apologized. He called Shane. They made up. Maybe we'll get Shane back with Scott on, because I think it'd be fun to have Scott here, because that's why he was going to be here, because of Scott, and then Scott didn't turn up. What else has happened? Thanks to our sponsors. You know who they are. GuitarWank sponsors. I've gone blank. Sir Guitars and Amps. Thanks, John. Wire World Pro Audio Cables. Exotic Pedals. Dear Dario Guitar Strings. Jimmy Dunlop Guitar Picks. My Music Master Class. AEA Ribbon Microphones. Sennheiser microphones. Thank you, guys. We appreciate all the support, and thank you for all those people that wrote in and did and shared their thoughts on what's going on, and didn't mind me having a blubber, because I was really upset. I've been upset all week, and it's been heavy. I mean, you just get on with your life, and fucking families are missing people, and I mean, how do you even approach that? Oh man, it's gut-wrenching. It makes me I get so angry, because the stupidity in this country, it's just stupid. Anyway, I could go on. Let's get into it, and this will cheer us all up, I hope. GuitarWank, keep the emails coming, guitarwank@gmail.com. If you're waiting for a t-shirt, or you were sent the wrong size t-shirt, bloody hell. I don't know what happened in the mailroom. We'll fix it, and we'll send you a new one. So just hang in there. I do have someone that I do have to have a shout out to. Georgina O'Reilly. I got to talk to Georgina. I feel really bad. She had an order. Now, this is a great girlfriend. This is a good girlfriend. I believe she's in London too. So Georgina sent in an order for, I think, a GuitarWank t-shirt. And I checked on it. It was late. We were backed with waiting for t-shirts to come in or something, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, she was trying to do a surprise for her man, right? And so I wrote it back, and I said, I'll check on it, blah, blah, we'll get it out, blah, blah, and all that kind of stuff, and make sure you get it. Anyway, so I wrote that to her, and then she replied, yes, it is a surprise for him, but he just saw this email from GuitarWank, and I totally spoiled the whole bloody surprise. So I ruined the surprise. We were late with the t-shirt, and apparently I did send extra stuff out to her, and it still hasn't gotten to her, because she sent me an email just the other day. Georgina O'Reilly, she said, Troy, any updates? Oh my God, you should have it by now, and it sounds like you haven't got it. So I'm publicly apologizing, because I feel like a right twat now that, one, you didn't get the product, two, I spoilt the surprise, and three, you still haven't got the product, even though I sent you extra product to make up for all those other mistakes. So now I'm publicly apologizing, Georgina, and to your man, he's a lucky bloke. I mean, you're the epitome of a great girlfriend, and GuitarWank completely let you down on all fronts, and I really apologize. So sorry about that. We will get new shit out to you. Not shit, but we'll get new merch out to you and make it up. But just know, if your boyfriend is listening to this, Georgina's boyfriend, you're a lucky bloke. She was trying to do something really amazing, and GuitarWank fucked it up. So if you choose not to listen to us anymore, I totally understand. She's probably thinking you maybe should go listen to maybe Shane Theriot's podcast, because he's got really cool guests on his show. And he's got a new album out. Well, look at that. See, so you can go listen to his podcast, but we do apologize, and we'll make good of it, Georgina. Damn it. I think you're a POM. I think you're over the ocean, so we'll make good of it. So fix that. And also, we will be playing some cuts from Shane's new album, Still Motion. I think I said that. So check them out. So that's the music will be on this show. Anyway, fucking shut up, McCubbin. It's late. I want to go to bed. And you guys just want to listen to a GuitarWank podcast. All right, Shane, Bruce, Scott-free, and me. What do we got to listen to this week? I don't know. I'm tired. I need to go to bed. All right, be safe. Look after each other. Let's keep GuitarWank and spread the word. Off. Listen to a new episode. I'll see you soon, buddy. And to all the people that wrote in, much love. Much love, right? Fucking people messing with our music concerts and stuff. That's way not cool. Way not cool. All right. We'll see you guys all next week. The boys will be back in town, and we're going to have some fun stuff. So, all right. I'll see you next week. Up your bum.
I probably end up only using it mostly in the studio because I work every night, man, in a 2-band. I'm rattling around in the car. Man, you know, I mean, I'm sick of visiting solder sniffers every 3 months, you know. And of course, it's got to be after the gig because they're only working from like midnight to 6 in the morning. You know, 'cause they're living in mom's house and shit like that. And they're the only guys that know how to fix stamps in the world. You know, I mean, you know.
Right.
But it's like, and I'm not disparaging anybody, but that's my experience. And I'm just tired of carrying that much weight for a platform that's that unstable.
Yeah.
And not durable. Well, the opposite of durable, fragile. And so, yes, like last night, I was playing this Quilter amp. It's really a great amp. In that room, I could hear, you know, I wished I'd had my Pro Reaper 65 Pro Reaper. And in that room, that amp would have given me a little bit more that I would have wanted. But I'm thinking about the last 5 gigs I did. Of the 5 gigs, that would be the only room that the Pro would have been a better amp than the Equivalent. All the other amp rooms, you know, with more echo, you know, more reverberant ambient, the thing would just, the Pro spreads out, and that latency you get from tubes, it would just add to the cacophony of what's happening, whereas that Quilter is like, I'm here right now for you.
It's very direct.
And it's still fat, you know what I mean? I thought it was a fine sound, but...
It sounded great to me.
But, you know, I mean, and again, we're talking about something that's so fucking small, you know? And then, so if I had the Dumble, I'm sure, you know, I know it. I'd use it on record dates all the time and special gigs where I knew the, you know, and I put it in the back seat and I strapped it in and I took really good care of it. You know what I mean?
Insured it.
Well,
You have to.
yeah. But, you know, I mean, mostly, though, I'm just interested in the kind of the sports challenge of it. I know I've played his amps. I played the Ultraphonics, the Steel String, the Overdrive Special.
Oh, wow. You played all those.
I've heard them. You know, the Overdrive Special meant nothing to me, you know. I mean, it was just like, it really sounded good, you know. The Ultraphonics is the one that I liked the best. But I'm just interested, you know, and I mean, here's this brilliant sound guy who knows how those things work. And have him, like, hear me and hear what I like. And he's a guitar player, too. And, you know, I would imagine he'd respect that and go like, oh, okay, you know, I don't want to build that, or I can't build that, or... you're crazy, or yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I think I can bring this to the world, you know, and that's what I'm interested in.
That's very hip.
This is the sports challenge of it, you know.
I think it'd be hilarious because you've been just hating tube amps for so long,
Well,
and
no,
then for you to get
no, wait a minute, no, I'm trying to be very clear. I love tube amps.
Right,
tube amps are like. You know, I mean, there's a studio I work in all the time here, and this guy is an amp geek, and he just has so many great amps in there. I mean, Magnetones and Supros and Nationals and old Fenders and Voxes, you know, Marshalls. It's like you go in to do the date, and you just kind of like, I show up 2 hours early just to play all the amps to see which one I want to use. You know, so I love tube amps. And particularly old tube amps, like the old Gibson.
Yeah, those little
A185s.
Yeah.
Wow, that to me is like the best amp ever. Well, no, it's the best amp. If I'm played like a trio last night, it's not a good amp. I need like my Pro Reverb. But if I'm like playing duo with another guitar or playing in a swing band or something, it's like so, it's honey, you know, it's just so beautiful. But it's like, again, the shit breaks all the time. That's my problem with it. I do love the sound. I do appreciate the work. It's the sound I'm hearing in my head. I'm a working musician. I need the shit that's gonna work all the time.
Well, you need it to be
and I also, unlike you, I have to carry it myself.
Yeah, well, not everything I do. I carry stuff sometimes.
Yeah,
too.
no, I know what I'm saying, but you know, I mean,
I
mean. Yeah, I like twin reverbs too, you know, and you ain't going to catch me lifting one into the trunk of my car. I'm 61 years old, man. I've already had one back operation. I don't need another.
I like twins, man. I don't know why people dog on twins.
You like twins?
See, that's what I mean.
I love twins.
I mean, they do what they were designed to do. They're loud and clean.
Yeah.
And, you know, and you know,
you got to get them loud.
And they're warm. No, I really, okay, no, maybe with a Strat or a Les Paul. Maybe. I'm not going to tell you. But I'm telling you, with my guitars, this, you know, I mean, my array of archtop guitars, I find them to be totally fine at low
I mean, they're
volume.
scooped, you know, but they sound, if you can dial in some mids, they sound good.
Yeah.
I just feel like
maybe just my sound has so much mids in it. I really...
It was a volume thing for me.
If I'm playing...
I just couldn't get them loud enough to, like...
Get fat.
Yeah, well,
But, you know,
I had to be
Well,
on like
they're not
going to
break up. They're
No.
not designed to break up.
No,
You know?
but I just couldn't get so the amp would start working. It'd be just like, and I'd be on 2 and with Wilson Phillips.
And
the
they
girls
tell
would be
you you're
like,
too loud.
Turn down. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm on 2
Right.
anymore, and this amp's
Did
just
you ever pull the tubes out, the power tubes? You can do that.
Yeah,
but it
and
doesn't
You
cut
can
it
pull
down.
2 of them
Right.
out, right?
You can pull it. Yeah, and I don't really know that much about this stuff, but it doesn't cut it down half like you would
no.
think. It doesn't
Yeah.
work that way, but it does make it a little spongier.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what I've got. The Pro Reverb.
It turns into sort of a Pro or Super or something.
I've got 2 6L6s instead of 4, and 1 power transformer instead of 2. But you wouldn't be turning off the second power transformer.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I mean, anyways, and Scott would, I'm sure, be telling us that I'm full of shit at this point in the podcast. This is that point. So everybody imagine Scott telling me I'm full of shit.
You're full of shit.
Okay.
So you work with Wilson Phillips?
Yeah, I was on the road with him
Wow.
for 3.5 years.
That's
something.
cool.
And it was a great gig because I was doing all basically Landau and Lukather stuff.
Did you ever meet Brian Wilson?
Yeah, we did.
You
We
did?
did. We finally opened for him in, I think somewhere in Michigan it was. And it was a trip, man, because obviously that's the girls, Carney and Wendy's.
Did she ever talk
Yeah.
about when he was like, they'd be waiting for the school bus and he'd come out naked in a robe and like eating a sandwich or something?
Just the weird. They told the weirdest stories about their dad, and it's almost like the girls are so longing to have a dad. This is what the sad part about it was. The dad is like this genius, but they never really got a dad. They just
Right.
our dad is Brian Wilson. He's fucking the most amazing songwriter ever, but they never got a dad.
He'd lay in bed for 3 years, and
It's just
Yeah, it's
weird
crazy.
shit. There's a lot of
I'm a huge Brian Wilson fan, and I got to sit on stage and watch him once, and it was unbelievable.
when we backed him up, I was like, because we met him, and he's, I mean, what do you do? It's Brian Wilson. You're not going to have a big deep conversation. It was funny because every show they had like a old lounge chair that they would bring for him, and it would go everywhere, and it would sit backstage, and he would sit in that and just rock back and forth off to the side. But he got up and played, and I said to the guys, I'm like, I'm sure this is going to be okay, And we watched the band. I swear it was probably better than the Beach Boys ever was. These guys, there was like 8 or 9 guys on stage. They all sang like fucking amazing.
Yeah, and they ghost a lot of his parts and stuff too, right?
Amazing.
They cover
Yeah.
unison parts.
I mean,
and
Brian's not doing too much. He's
Yeah.
doing it. He's leading it. But they were amazing. Like, unbelievable. One of the best bands I think I've seen. They were so good. But
man, when you think about it, Brian Wilson, Pet Sounds, he was 26. It's done. It's already done.
Where do you
like,
go
how do
from
you
there,
you
right?
start Smile and you never end up with that? You never finish that because of Van Dyke Parks. The Beach Boys hated him and they couldn't make sense of that record, which I like that record too. But Pet Sounds, boom, done. 26 or whatever it was. The Beatles, everything was over. It was done, man. They were like 29. It's not fair. Man.
God Only Knows was like written in 6 minutes or something.
God, I love that song.
6 minutes he wrote that. It just poured out of him. It's like,
I have my ringtone on my phone is Good Vibrations acapella outtakes.
Wow.
Yeah.
so that was the cool thing about Wilson Phillips. We did a lot of the Beach Boys, a lot of Mamas and Papas because of China and that being her parents. So it was good songs, like Monday Monday and California Dreamin'. I mean, to me that was the shit.
Yeah.
And then when we played the Wilson Phillips stuff, it was really great because it was all those amazing LA session cats playing all those parts and just like, wow, And the songwriting was so different from what's written now just to the early 90s. It's just, it's so crazy different, really, really cool stuff. So it was a fun gig. So
It sounds like a great gig.
yeah, it was cool. But meeting I met his ex-wife, Carney's, and Wendy's mum a lot, and she was trying to think of the band she was in now, but yeah, so much history.
Did you ever see the documentary, the Don Was documentary? It's black and white. It's called I Just Wasn't Made for These Times. Early 90s.
Oh, I don't think I have.
And they interview his mom. She was still alive. And
Oh, wow.
Man, it's pretty intense. If you watch it,
Is that on Netflix or something, or?
I don't think it's on Netflix. I used to have a copy of it somewhere,
Right.
but it's worth seeking out. I'm gonna just get one more.
Man,
roll.
So what's it called?
I just wasn't made for these times. There's one scene where he's like talking about how his dad used to, hit him with a belt, and it's so disturbing.
Dad, is that why I'm not as brilliant as I should be? Because you just didn't beat me enough? I think because Michael Jackson.
Do you regret that?
Dad probably regrets
There's
it.
still enough time.
I mean, like the Jackson 5, they had all that shit.
Yeah.
You know, the Wilsons. It could have been the McCubbin, Troy McCubbin. Man, he was a great songwriter. His dad used to beat him, and he just...
You remember when Michael Jackson first got busted, the ranch? And only in California would shit like this happen. They showed like the sheriff, whatever it was, Santa Barbara, they're going to get Michael Jackson. And, they show him going in the house. And then like an hour later, they all leave this entourage. It's like 5 sheriff cars and then like an old-fashioned fire engine. And like all this, it was like a circus. It was literally and Michael Jackson's riding in the fire engine. And it's like all this, so crazy, man. What are these people thinking?
I used to years ago, when I first come to LA, I was doing personal training, and I trained this girl who was getting married, and her fiance, her husband, he was Michael Jackson's engineer for like the longest time. So she'd been over there and met Michael a ton of times, and she said, when you'd meet Michael, you got, hey, how you going? You never got that voice. Like, hi, the high voice. She said that was fucking bullshit. She said he talked normal, low voice, like that's what you got. She said that was such frog shit.
Really?
I was like, wow.
What about Elvis, man? There's some great Elvis stories out there.
Have you met any players that... Well, Dr. John, right?
But I saw him the other day, Mac, and he was talking about Elvis. He was, they had a TV show in the 50s called the Louisiana Hayride. It was a famous music show in the 50s, and everybody was on that show, Elvis and all this stuff. And he goes, I used to see Elvis Presley in the 50s, and he's like, I said to myself, this guy sucks. I mean, his songs suck. He ain't got no fucking drummer. This shit is terrible. And he's like, shows you what I know. But I was watching his video the other day. Because James Burton was his guitar player, and he's from Shreveport, Louisiana Hayride. That's where they all met,
right.
And it's in the 70s, and they're wearing like the karate shit and everything. And Elvis goes, I'm going to give he's giving the band little solo parts. So he goes, James Burton, Shreveport, Louisiana, go and pick a little bit, James. So he starts playing, and he's playing some chicken picking, and all of a sudden he goes into these little 13 jazzy sliding, and Elvis goes, whoa, 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 keep it rock and roll, James, keep it rock and roll.
Did you ever meet James?
I have met him.
Oh, you met him? Yeah.
Yeah. Nice
what about
cat.
Cropper?
Yeah, I've met Cropper, sure.
How are those cats?
I was supposed to play at Cropper's 60th birthday party. That was years ago, but I couldn't do it because the Nevilles had a gig, and I couldn't get out of it.
Damn.
Yeah. But I don't know him that well.
Right.
But yeah, I've met him, sure.
Yeah. He seems pretty cool.
I saw him one time in an airport, and he had a guitar with him, and I said, man, is that your old Telly? Could I check it out? And he pulls it out of the case. He goes, nope, this is my Peavey, my signature. I said, wow, this is a nice guitar, I said, well, that's cool. And you don't play your Fender Telly anymore? And he goes, once you get a Cadillac, it's hard to go back. And I'm thinking, so the Peavey is the Cadillac?
Wow.
So the Fender it should be in a museum,
Big time, the songs on that thing.
Yeah.
I know, man. I love Cropper.
Man.
Otis Redding, all that stuff.
All that stuff. And you got to hang just through the gigs and that. You got to meet some amazing cats.
I have. I've been lucky, man. Yeah, I have. It's been
a lot of cool hangs.
Lots.
Yeah.
Lots.
To me,
except tonight.
Yeah, sorry about
kind
this.
of bombed. No, I'm just joking.
I get this vibe. He thought he was going to hang out with Scott Henderson, and now he's stuck with us.
I'm joking.
I'm
Bruce.
sorry about that, man.
I've hung
really,
with Scott.
Sorry, man.
I think Scott might have just said, man, I don't want to see this cat. He's going to talk shit about.
Well, now you can. We can talk about Scott. What was?
Can I tell one story?
Tell more than one. Tell stories.
I feel like, tell me if I'm talking too much. I know I'm talking way too much.
Well, that's the whole point. You're here.
I
You
know.
talk
I
all
figure
the
that's
time.
what it is. I'm wanking. But one day Scott
Well,
would
that
play
too,
this.
but you can keep talking.
He
while
played
you're
this
doing it.
lick. I used to see him open counseling. That was it. But one day
Yeah.
he played this lick, and it was like this diminished thing, and it was like a Chick Corea kind of thing, like blah, diddle, 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 the Chick Corea descending thing. But Scott did it like diddle, 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 and it was a diminished thing going down and whatever. And Scott goes, man, it's like it's like this, and it's diminished. It goes down in thirds, and so you can use it over this and that. So I get the fingering down, and I couldn't get the phrasing right. And Scott goes, man, it's like this thing I played on this Chick record, and it's kind of a Chick thing. And I should have never played this stupid shit on that record. And that's what he said. And he goes, but it's like this. And he goes, no, man, it's a quintuplet. It's like this. Look, phrase it like this: Scientology, 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 Scientology. And I never forgot that lick.
Scientology. And that's
one, two, one, two, two, one, two, one, two.
yeah, Scott doesn't like to bring up Chick Corea at all.
Hey, no, he does.
No, I'm not being.
Bitches about it.
He bitches about it, but he bitches about it a lot.
Maybe he's over at the Scientology building now.
Man, I remember they would be like, we'd be sitting in open counseling, it would be like me and two other U.S. guys, and it would be like all these guys from France, and they would sit there and just shove the tape recorder, and and I could tell it bothered Scott, but he was cool about it. And Scott was like, yeah, man, I'm sorry, guys, I got to leave early today. I got to go out with Zauno, and they're like, I was like, where are you going? Oh, we have to go to France. Man, fuck, I hate going over there. I just don't want to go. It's like everybody in there is French,
He is a bit negative sometimes.
Scott's diplomatic.
But his, the stuff he said back then, and the stuff like Dan Gilbert and those guys said, man, it's totally true, man. I remember Howard Roberts saying at orientation, he goes, look, you're going to learn all this stuff, and you're going to hear all these things, and at the end of, in 20 years from now, you're going to be able to take an index card and go, everything that's important, I could fit on this index card. An arpeggio is an arpeggio. A scale is a scale. This is this, and it's, so don't lose track of it. Now I finally get it, man. All those lessons were like, I listened to one of the podcasts, Bruce, you were talking about practicing and managing time.
Yeah.
And that is dead on, man, because Howard had a thing where he would do 20 minutes with a timer. And I still use that to this day. And it's a way of organizing everything. Like, half the shit I do, I could never get done if I didn't use that method.
What you?
Well, his thing was you take a timer. Have you ever heard that, Howard?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you tell it. You
No,
knew Howard.
you tell it. You talk. No, come on, you got it.
No, because I didn't
I wanna
know.
hear
I
it.
didn't know Howard. I just read his book, and he.
What did
Well,
he say?
you take a timer, kitchen timer, and you come up with all your subjects that you're going to work on, and it might just be like you're learning a diminished scale, and then maybe you just learn the first 3 strings, and that's it. And you set the time for 20 minutes, and all you do is focus on that, nothing else. You don't doodle, nothing, noodle. You just play that over and over and focus on it. When the timer goes off, you're done. That's it. You move on to something else.
Wow.
And it seems overly simplistic, but what happens is, according to what I had read, that Howard said that it was like 20, 25 minutes is the average attention span where your maximum learning takes place. And after that, it starts to diminish.
Yeah.
And so you maximize the 20 minutes. And man, you get like way more shit done.
Because you're so focused.
You're so focused. I use it for charts. I use it for everything.
Yeah.
Because I'll just go, okay, for 20 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes, I'm just going to knock out these jobs, see how much I get done. And if I turn my phone off and everything off, just focus on that, it's time management, man. Then 30 minutes, I'm like, wow, I actually knocked out almost 3 of these charts.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for school kids, for all of us, this never changes. But particularly for college-age kids, they're making that transition. They've had middle school and high school and parents. Everybody's managing their time for them. Now, this is the first time in their life where they're actually in charge of that. And they get into universities and, like, teachers, we don't care if they don't do their work. We'll just flunk them. Mm-hmm. You know, it doesn't matter. Hey, we tell you the first week there's a midterm you're gonna need to turn in a paper that's this long, or you're gonna have to have this together by the midterm. We tell you in the first week. We never mention it again.
Yep.
And in the midterm, and then what do the kids do the first semester? They forget all about it, and then the night before the midterm, they're up all night long trying to get this thing together, whether it's writing a paper or learning something or being prepared for something that they should have been preparing for 7 weeks.
Right. Yeah, you cram.
And it's all bad. It's all, they don't have the skills because they were kids and their parents and school was managing those things for them. Then they get out in the world and you're an adult now all of a sudden in college, and this is your responsibility, and if you don't do it, well, you flunk. It's okay. We don't care. We'll flunk it because guess what? You got to take the class again. We get more money.
Right.
And so
you bastards.
And the same thing is true in the real world, though.
Yeah.
If you bypass college and go out in the real world, if I tell you we got a gig tomorrow and you need to know all these tunes, you learn them.
Yeah.
We got a gig in 2 weeks and you need to know all these tunes. Well, that gave you 2 weeks to learn them. And if you're smart, you'll manage your time so you can incrementally get them together. So by the time that 2 weeks is up, you're ready to deal with it. But if it's a 3-day crunch, then it's a different kind of, it's time management, understanding how to do that. And it never changes as an adult, but that transitional moment from kind of like getting out of the nest and figuring it out for yourself, that's where those kids have so much trouble. And I'm very well aware of it because I've seen it so much, and I try to help them. Of course, I'm a guy who, like, when they get older, they tell me, "Man, what you told me was so right on." But while they're doing it, I'm just this old fart who's like just another asshole who's telling them what to do.
But that's it, man. What do they say? You don't really understand stuff until you get older. And like now, I'm thinking, my dad lost my dad last year, but my mom, stuff they'd say, I go, they're right.
Yeah.
They don't even understand the whole situation, what I'm dealing with, but there's a lot of wisdom in that shit. You know? So,
man, that's, you're really true. I mean, and I don't know, whatever age that happens to you, it's really heavy shit. And, I mean, I can think of how there's an arrogance of youth that you get kicked in the balls enough. Life kicks you in the balls and you lose that, but you think, what, they somebody tells you, "Hey man, this, what the fuck," he doesn't understand, he doesn't know what the fuck it is. And then you get through it and you go, "Oh, yeah, right." And yet that's the way it is. It's just continual. I mean, we are reliving something that's
there's nothing new under the sun. That shit has been.
This is the way it's always been.
It's always been like that.
So why is it that when you think about it, all the music, majority of the music we love and cherish is by a bunch of young people, right?
Well, I don't know.
Not necessarily.
Well, like if you look at a lot of the historical bands, I mean, you think of any artist, a lot of them were really young. I can't think of anyone older that broke and changed the world.
Broke, yeah.
But they've all, I mean, artists obviously establish itself and then get older, and we follow them.
I think it depends on the genre. I mean, for pop and rock, obviously, and then plus I think that's the business supports that, so you get your method of your medium, your budget and everything to be able to make a record.
But there's also the arrogance of ignorance, the youth. Mm-hmm. I mean, like that Orson Welles, who was this young, Bob Dylan, but Orson Welles was like this guy who came on the scene. Everybody knew he was this brilliant writer and visionary, and like he invented these cinematography techniques. And, I heard him interviewed, and it was just like, he told the cinematographer what he saw. And they told him, "You can't do that with a camera." And he says, "No, you do it with a camera.
He was
this
a
is
badass
what I see." And so they had to figure it out. because he could see what he wanted to see, and they had to figure out how to make the shit do it. Well, the same thing is like Woody Guthrie, Bob Dylan, telling stories. They could see shit that the rest of us couldn't see, and they could put it in words.
Frank Zappa.
I mean, we can name, a million people. The Gershwins, Ravel, I mean, Hank Williams.
I think you're right. Young people, and it's having the balls to believe in yourself enough at that age.
Right.
And just go, you know what? I'm not jumping on that wagon. This is what I'm doing. I got another story. I remember this bass player at MI. I wasn't friends with him, but he was from Sweden. And we were hanging one night. I remember he had played in Yngwie's band, Yngwie Malmsteen. And I remember we were all like, wow, man, what's Yngwie like? What's Yngwie like? Yeah. And he goes, man, you want to hear something about Yngwie? He's like, Yngwie was 18 and they're in the middle of, God knows where, Sweden, and Gene Simmons from Kiss calls up. He had heard him in the guitar player column. He goes, look, be interested in having you join Kiss. Now, Yngwie doesn't know anybody. He's in Sweden. He's 18 years old. At that time, Kiss was still one of the biggest rock bands in the world. And Yngwie goes, I will do it on my own.
Wow.
That's like some balls, man.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, that's
that's believing in yourself enough to where I have the greatest respect for guys like yourself, Bruce, and Scott, and that just do their own thing. Man, I wish I could have done that shit.
Even though people hate it.
No, they don't hate it. What are you talking about? I saw the people in there last night.
Yeah.
No, but to retain that, and I mean, I don't feel completely worthy of your esteem, but there are other guys who, you're right, who just hang on their train and go for it. I mean, that's never been my thing 100% because of the apprenticeship nature of jazz. You know what I mean? It's like, I had my own thing that I wanted to do. I still do. I'm still following it. But, there's a big part of it that's just, in order to be in the style of music that I want to play, you have to apprentice to these people to get it. You can't just do your own thing and really embrace where what I need.
Sure.
The nurturing isn't there. Whereas we talked to, Josh Smith.
I know he is. I don't know him personally.
He's great.
Yeah.
And
right.
Kirk Fletcher and Bonamassa, they were all like buddies together.
Oh, wow.
When they were kids, the 12-year-old blues hero,
Yeah.
things. You play with B.B. King and doing all that stuff. And as it went on, Josh, got the gig with Raphael Sadiq, had a family and did some amazing things along with his solo career. And Kirk, too. Joe was the Joe Bonamassa machine. Always and always that. And now you look at it, and Joe is...
Well, I met Joe years ago.
He's a very talented guy, but I'm just saying they're all very talented guys. But Joe kept on the track. And while they kind of did this and that and this and that, Joe was Joe. And so now they're working for Joe a lot of the time. They're in his band, I'm just saying that...
I have so much respect for those cats. I met him years ago, and he was talking about how frustrated he was. He was trying to get on the G3 tour, and he couldn't do it, and he was doing this and that. And I'm so happy that... I was telling somebody today, man, I don't care... Joe Bonamassa is a great player, but even if they're not on that level, if some cat is out there playing guitar and making money, it only helps everybody because it's making the thing viable. That's a totally different subject.
Totally different subject. My point is that Joe believed in himself, stayed true to himself, worked his brand, if for any want of a better reason, and he is now reaping the rewards, and he's of course worthy of it musically.
Yeah.
I mean. If he wasn't, let's hope he wouldn't have made the success, but he might have. But the fact, you're right. I mean, there's that. And then there's the other thing. It's great guitar playing, people out listening to it. That's good for everybody.
Right. I think it does. I think it's a trickle-down thing.
I mean, the whole idea is, I believe that ultimately we're all different people. And so when we pick up, this is just a paintbrush. This is a hammer and a toolkit. And what we create with this thing is what is important, not what we do to this thing. And, and that is only comes from each one of us. So how, we're seen as competing with each other, but how can we really? We're all so different people. I mean,
Right.
It's just like having this conversation, we're competing with each other. It's not. And it's rough. But I guess
Well, at
it's
the end
the
of the day,
economics of it, and
economics, and you got to look at it. Sometimes I complain. That's the nature of the musician, is to complain, no matter how good the scenario is. I'm guilty of it more than anybody, man.
What do you complain most about? Honestly?
Traveling, or just like having to, I wish I was doing my own shit, or blah blah. I mean, anything, man. Fill in the blanks, And then I have to slap myself and say, Shane, you know what? You're playing a piece of wood with steel strings, plucking the thing, like making noise, and you're getting paid. You know what I mean? That's not people were digging
You're
ditches
more than
and
getting
doing
paid.
shit.
You're actually getting adulation, and you're involved in some really iconically.
I'm just saying that's
stuff.
like I'm not trying to over.
I know.
It's just you have to put it in perspective, man. I think musicians. It's weird. Like the higher up the chain they get, they complain more.
Sometimes, they say, you know how to make a musician complain.
Give him a job.
Give him a gig.
Yeah.
But what about the cats? Say a lot of players out there that are maybe, older, and they didn't maybe achieve the success they
Bitter
wanted to.
cats.
Oh, the bitter cats.
Yeah, bitter cats.
I heard a story about one cat today that was just beautiful.
Can you tell it?
I won't mention his name because I don't know if the guy who told me, if it's this one guy in back east who's a badass. We all know about him, but he didn't really kind of emerge as the big time. He didn't live in New York City and didn't play with any the heavy cats. He was outside, out whatever, and supposedly like Schofield was a big fan of his too. And like kind of put out the word through a couple of common friends that he'd like, he heard that this guy had a gig and he wanted to go hang at the gig, and he asked if he could like play with him, and like, of course the club like went nuts and like the place was packed. This guy was so pissed off, and I guess Sco got up and set up his gear, and it was like a couple of Vox amps, it was like, this guy's probably like me. I could see me being this asshole, actually. And, and the guy's probably just sitting there and he's watching all this shit get set up, and it's just pissing him off. It's just like, it's too loud already kind of shit, And then he just like really treated Sco super bad.
Really?
Super bad. Like the whole night he made Sco wait. The first set he played, didn't ask him to play. Played the whole second set almost. At the very end he asked Sco to play. Sco plays a couple tunes. At the end Sco supposedly, this is again all hearsay. And Sco like said, hey man, God, it was like really such an honor to, finally meet you and hear you and get to play with you. And I guess he was kind of, maybe even stupidly vulnerable at that moment by saying something so nice to this guy. And the guy just like, I don't know what the fuck you were playing, man. Why you had to play so fucking loud. And,
My God.
He just like shat all over him. And it's like, there you have it.
Yeah.
Wow.
But to be honest with you,
And on a high
I could
note.
see a guy wanting to sit in with me, and I'd say, yeah, sure, especially if he was like really famous, you know what I mean? And I didn't know him, and then like all the people in the club are here because he's there. I could see how that would hurt on that level. And then he's got a bunch of fucking equipment. And I could see how all that could really push a lot of the wrong buttons
Right.
in a person.
Yeah, well, it's ego, man. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah,
It's all ego.
but it is, of course that's what it is, but still there's a lot of button push in there, you know what I mean? A lot of stuff that like when somebody really is mean to you or like vibes you or does something, it has nothing to do with you. It has only to do with them.
Well,
Something inside them is causing this reaction. And of course we, because it's all directed at us, we sort of take it on, you know what I mean, in some weird way. But of course none of it comes, these people don't even know us.
Well, I've heard that theory, like, used on like if somebody cut you off on the freeway, it's don't take it personally. It's not about you. They could be having a bad day. And I don't know how that all.
Well, no.
You're talking about just music specific.
I'm talking specifically music. Yeah, I mean,
because I thought you were like generally like a life.
No. I'm talking about you're just like you're nice to somebody and they fucking snap. They just turn around and be a complete asshole to you.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with you. You're not even in their worlds. They're just like pissed off and dumping a bunch of shit on your head. They don't even know you. They don't even, it's not.
But don't you think people can attract that to themselves?
I wonder about that.
I knew this bass player. I won't mention his name. He's a great bass player.
A lot of that.
I can't because he would be really pissed. And he played with a lot of big people, and he's a great guy, but he's got a bad temper, man. And I remember, man, we were walking, and it was in Idaho on a Sunday morning. We're walking through this town. There's nobody around. I swear to God, there's nobody around. Walking around. 5 minutes later, we come up to this park. 100 yards away, there's these two guys and this girl on a picnic bench in this park. You could barely see them, man.
Yeah.
And there's nobody around. It's a beautiful day, and I'm walking with this cat, and all of a sudden this guy's like asking for a light or something, like, hey man, you got a light, or motioning to us. And my friend just like flips him off, like keeps walking. All of a sudden these guys are chasing us. Chasing us. Like, I ran back to the hotel. The other guy just stayed out. But I saw this shit happen so many times, and he would just attract stuff.
Right.
Now that was he was asking for it, but there were other ones where he would die. He didn't do anything, and bad shit would happen. Something would go down, and I'm convinced that people have that
energy.
capability.
Right.
Sure, there's sort of an aura or something, whatever you want to call it. I mean, not to get too metaphysical, but you look at the way dogs react to people.
You're not from California?
Hey man, I fit right in.
Damn, you almost get a resident card with that one.
Yeah.
Now, with all the different cats you've got to see over the years and the situations you're in, like especially these high profile players and people you've met that almost live in their bubble. Like they've got their bubble because they're so successful and they're big. Do you find that a lot of those cats are just so removed from reality? It's almost hilarious in some aspects.
No, I haven't found that.
Oh,
actually, the bigger guys are the more down to earth people.
Guys. Yeah,
but they're still in a bubble because they have to be.
I guess
because people are just hitting on them.
Yeah,
like
people
the
can
prettiest
be
chick
assholes,
in a ball.
man.
You're like the prettiest chick in a biker bar.
People can be really assholes.
You got to at some point.
Good analogy.
You have to insulate yourself.
Yeah.
Or you lose all of your your community. You lose all your family. You lose all your free time. You lose all your sanity.
Yeah.
So they create this bubble, which is really created by their handlers, their people, and it's just because if they didn't have it, they would have nothing. I mean, the world would take that part away from them. I believe. I mean, I know. Like I'm friends with a lot of really famous people, and I mean, and when you get to know them, you may not agree with their, politics or whatever, but they're really cool people.
Yeah.
One
of the most famous. I mean, I never worked with, like you're acting like I worked with 100 famous people. I mean, I've never.
Well, you named more in like 5 minutes than
I know. I name drop like. Like my good buddy Paul McCartney said, you should never name drop.
Yeah. I was.
No, but I've worked on this.
I was talking with Jesus the other day. say we hate people.
That's why I
who
hate
do that
doing
next
these things.
time.
People ask you things and you talk about stuff and you feel like, man, I feel like such a, you know.
No, it doesn't come. I don't
Alright.
think it comes across like that at all.
But I got to work on this movie called My Own Love Song a few years back, and Nick Nolte was one of the stars. So I got hired as his guitar coach. And that turned into a month, right? I was with Nick for like a month, all over the place. He'd come over to my house. I would hang with him on set, and he was supposed to play it was like a 30-second clip playing the slide guitar thing. And I had to coach him, man, and he just wanted to hang.
Yeah.
And that right there could be I could tell you stories about Nick, unbelievable. And he is in a bubble, but it's a genius. You watch him and you go, wow, why is that guy such a great actor? Well, he's just fucking crazy. And he just plays himself.
Yeah.
But he's a sweetheart of a guy.
Right.
But
Yeah.
That being said, try when all the lights and all the cameras and all the money's going down, try being yourself, in that situation.
Right.
I mean, that's where those guys are amazing. Like Dexter Gordon did that. I don't know if you ever saw that movie Round Midnight.
Yeah, sure.
He was, I think, even up for an Academy Award or a Golden Globe. And it was, what do you mean? He just played himself. And I said, okay, you try and be yourself. Do you know what it's like to be in a movie? You ever seen a set where the camera's right in your face and you try being yourself when somebody's got a camera up your ass. You know what I mean? When they put you out for a colonoscopy. They don't put you out on the set of a Hollywood movie.
Right. I went over his hotel room one day, and it was early in the morning, and Nick's in bed, and he's got this suite, the W Hotel, and he goes, yeah, I'll be right out in a minute. Just there's some coffee and so I'm waiting. And he's got two guitar, UPS had delivered some guitars.
Right.
And they're the guitar boxes, the cardboard boxes. He goes, open one of those up. This is one of my guitars I got shipped from Malibu. So I opened the thing and I feel a guitar neck, no case. So I pull it, it's just like packing peanuts. It's like a beautiful PRS, no case. Open the other one, it's like a Ernie Ball. And he goes, yeah, Eddie sent that to me. He's my neighbor, and I got that one. And he goes, I need to buy some guitar cases. You know where we could go? And I go, yeah, there's a guitar thing. He goes, just give me a few minutes. Let me get dressed. So I swear, man, 2 minutes go by and I hear his feet go boom, boom. And he walks out. He goes, all right, I'm ready. And he put on slippers and a robe. And we went, I swear to God, we went to a guitar store. I have pictures of me giving guitar lessons to Nick at 3 in the afternoon. He's got a robe on. He's totally naked, sitting there, hair. He was the greatest dude, man. I loved it. I loved him, man. We went here to Black Crowes, and we'd hang. I took him to Maple Leaf to hear Rebirth Brass Band. I just liked his energy. He's crazy as shit, but I felt so alive, man, hanging with him.
That's awesome.
And anybody you can talk about in Hollywood, I used to live with her and her brother, and he produced Apocalypse Now. I didn't want to be in that picture. I recommended Marty, He would talk to me like I knew all these people.
Right.
He would just talk to me like I was down to earth with him, But you talk about out of reality, man. And the guitar shit would be it was 30 minutes. I'd show him something, and I'd leave my little blackface champ over. If I'd show up the next day, the shit would still be on. It was he flooded the hotel room one night, towels everywhere. I took a bath and I forgot to turn the water off. It's unbelievable shit.
Yeah.
How these people get through?
Yeah.
I fucking love it.
And we went to this guitar store, man. It was a 335. It was expensive as shit. It was $15,000.
Yeah.
And Nick goes, I used to have one of those. I got it from Dickie Betts. I go, wow, Dickie Betts, man, Allman Brothers. And he goes, I did this picture called Return to Macon County. And I go, really? He goes, yeah, it was in the 70s. And he goes, we shot it in Georgia, and Dickie came, and we were doing acid. And I was about to do this car chase scene, and Dickie goes, is it okay if I get in the back of the car and lay in the back while you do the scene? I said, sure. So Dickie Betts is laying in the car while they do one of these car chases. Nobody even knows this shit. He's telling me all this stuff. It was over a month.
Oh my God. That's awesome. Do you guys still speak?
No, I was giving him Skype lessons for a while.
Right.
And then I would show him like the simplest Chuck Berry, like no string bending, just slide it. And it was like somebody had shown him like a light bulb.
Right.
And he would email me, man, this is great. Let's keep it going. And then I didn't hear from him again, and I tried to contact him, and I never heard from him, man. I tried to call him a few times. I never heard from him again.
He's doing acid.
But I really liked working with him, and anyway.
Fucking awesome.
Well, Nick's on the phone. He wants to talk.
Yeah.
Hey, listen.
I didn't know anyone cool. I did Terry Hatcher.
Oh wow, I used to like her.
That was pretty cool for a little bit. I'd go to a house and I'd have all these like fantasies going on, like, oh, Terry's gonna come out and be like, oh, Troy, come, maybe you should come to my room and show me the G string and stuff like this. I mean, but it was completely the opposite to that. And I was a lot younger, obviously, but she'd come out and she'd sit down and I'd be just in awe. I'm like, I'm a Terry Hatcher, I'm teaching her chords, and she'd be like, yeah, we should write, and I'm about to do Broadway and this and that, and yeah, we should write. I'd love to write an album. And then she'd like take off and deal with her daughter, and yeah, it was pretty cool for.
It was not meant to be.
Yeah, it wasn't meant to be. We weren't meant to have that musical love story, but
you could have imagine all the
in my head.
Imagine all the gear you could have acquired.
I did that, and I did. I taught lessons to one of Sting's sons.
Oh wow!
And that was a trip because I walked in the day to go give lessons. Sting is at the kitchen table in his shorts playing acoustic guitar in Malibu, and I walk in, he's like, you the guitar teacher? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, good, because I've just about got this E chord down. I wonder if you can help me with it. And I'm just like, But he was really cool. His kid was a trip, but it was a fun time. But yeah, she was really cool. Damn. I love all those type of stories, man. Like, the craziest shit can happen sometimes.
I told you this one last night. That's funny. I should tell.
Tell the GuitarWank.
Tell.
Well, I wasn't working with Dr. John at this point. It was another friend of mine that was, but I've heard the story and seen the pictures, and I call him Mac. But Mac's playing in Tokyo, Blue Note. And Eric Clapton's playing the next night at the Tokyo Dome, and he's hanging out. And Mac and Eric Clapton have been friends for years. Mac played on a bunch of his records and stuff. And so Eric walks backstage at Blue Note. Mac's talking to somebody, and Eric goes up, and he goes, oh, Mac, yeah. And he goes, hey, Eric, how you doing, man? He goes, oh, I'm playing Tokyo Dome, want to say hi. Yeah, cool. And he goes, hey, suppose it'd be okay if I sit in tonight? And Mac looks at it. He looks at his friend, and he goes, hey, it's cool with me, but you're going to have to ask my guitar player. I don't know if that's cool with him, And so Eric's sort of confused, and Matt goes right back to his conversation with his friend, and so Eric's just standing there. So he walks up to this guy, and he's asking him, is it okay if I play your guitar, And I told him this guy had a canary yellow Strat with like star stickers on it and like a Kahler tremolo. There's a picture of Eric Clapton playing that. It's so good, man. And one night Mac goes, man, you can cut all this shit out too. It's just funny. I just want to tell you guys.
Keep talking.
No, that's good.
Mac told me, he's got the greatest stories, man. And he goes, he says, there was a guy named James Booker, who's a famous New Orleans piano player. You should watch his documentary sometime. He was a nut, man, but he was a genius, dude. And he was in his band, and Mac goes, man, Booker used to con these record producers into giving us money. We'd make records for all these cats from England. And he goes, we work with one, man. This dude was going to, like, kill Booker, man, the manager. And I said, who was it? He goes, it was a guitar player's manager. And he goes, but this guy sucked. We did a bunch of tracks. He was terrible. I said, really? I wonder who it was. He goes, I can't remember. Mac goes, my memory banks ain't what they were. So a couple hours later, he calls me Shazane. He goes, Shazane, I remember that guitar player. I said, who? And he goes, Jeff Beck. I said, Jeff Beck, Mac? And he goes, that motherfucker was terrible. He sucked. He goes, he sucked, man.
We should get him on the show. Oh my god, that would be fucking hilarious.
I was telling Troy, man, you know, any like historic shit, like, you know, you were talking about the band, you know, the Last Waltz. Mac was there.
Yeah.
You ask him about that shit, or like, what was it like to work with John Lennon on Imagine, or what was it like to blah blah blah, or what, you know, Sonny and Cheryl, he calls them. Yeah, I used to work with Sonny and Cheryl, and Phil Spectra. And I said, yeah, the wall of sound, right? And he goes, that was like a wall of bullshit. That motherfucker was skimming, you know, it totally skews and ruins your whole, like, shit. Wow, what was Imagine like? Man, that was such a great, it was all right. Yeah, you should hear this cat like Honey Boy, blah, blah, you know, that's the shit. You know, people nobody ever heard of. But Jeff Beck, you know, that sucks. You know. Anyway.
Where'd you work with him?
Oh man, I've done tons of stuff with Matt,
Really?
Touring and recording. And,
Yeah. How old is he
actually
now?
supposed to be producing his record coming up.
Oh, wow.
He's about 73 now.
Yeah. And still playing all
Yeah,
the time.
he's slowed down a lot, man, but
Right.
he's still out there, man.
Yeah. Wow.
He was in the Wrecking Crew. There's a video on YouTube of Sonny and Cher playing, and it's like Gold Star Recording Studios, Hollywood, California. This is the making of a rock and roll album. And this is the studio musicians, and they pan the room, and it's everybody's got their suits, chain smoking, and you see Barney Kessel, and then you see Mac. He's right there. And man, what a story that cat has, man.
That's the kind of stuff I want to hear about. Like, those stories are just... Because I don't want them to die with the guys, you know? I want to hear that shit.
Well, that's why I started my little thing I do where I interview people and I try to get those guys because their stories are gone.
So do take the opportunity to talk to the two or three people that listen to this.
Yeah, I'm not doing a plug. I just meant
no.
I
want
here.
you to.
Well,
I'm asking you to.
Where do we?
Where
do we go?
Same as yours. It's iTunes and Stitcher.
What's
and all
it
that.
called?
It's called the Riff Raff.
The Riff Raff.
And I started it a few years ago, and I only have about it's less than 20 episodes.
Oh man, I want to listen.
But I've got SCO, and SCO is actually one of the first ones. And Stern
awesome.
and Mike Stern. But I don't just do guitar players. I have George Porter Jr. from the Meters. I had a lot of New Orleans cats. John Oates, John Leventhal, Warren DeMartini from Rat, who was one of my guitar heroes, and you know, rode around the car in Hollywood, and we talked, and so stuff like that.
Yeah,
and just it's mainly to preserve those stories, man. We don't talk about gear and all that shit. We talk about like life. I try to squeeze little life lessons out and stories, and I try to get Art Neville, man. I try, and he's in the hospital now. I don't know if it's gonna happen. I'm kind of sad about that. I mean, he's doing okay, but
right. How old is he now?
The stories, man, it's unbelievable. Like there's a tune called what was that tune called? Shaduki Doo. It's an old New Orleans R&B tune. If you listen to this shit, man, that's where rock and roll came from, man.
Yeah.
You know, it's where it came from. Earl Palmer, who ended up out here, but he's from New Orleans. All those beats, all that shit came from New Orleans. You ask Steve Jordan, check that stuff out. And Shaduki Doo, it's like Art Neville, the Hawkettes. Those guys were like 16, 17 years old, man, in the early 50s. And there's a guitar solo, and it is distorted and nasty and raunchy, and it's like pre-everything. And I asked Mac and Art Neville, man, what's the story? And he goes, man, the tube blew up, and the speaker was fucked up, and we just kept going because it sounded hip. and then I asked Mac, and he goes, yeah, that's what happened. And you know what? That was the first guitar solo that ever was recorded with extortion.
Oh man!
And he's probably right, because that was like, God, man, that was 50s, early, you know. And those stories, man, they just don't have that shit. Like Lee Dorsey, you know that tune, Everything I'm Gonna Do Gonna Be Funky. It starts out, this guy goes, everything I do gonna be funky. And then you hear, and I asked Art, who is that? He goes, that was the engineer, and he was from like out in the country somewhere, and we had never heard anybody talk like that. And he was just striping the tape, and we're like, man, you gotta leave. Alan Toussaint, he's like, we gotta leave this on. This is like so hip. Who's gonna know that shit when these guys are gone?
Right.
So that's why I started trying to record all this stuff, just so to keep it together, man.
Man, that's killer. Riff Raff, right?
Yeah, it's called the Riff Raff. Yeah.
The Riff Raff or just Riff Raff?
I don't know. I guess it's the Riff Raff.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I want to check that out. Everyone should check that out.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, because, those stories are going to disappear, and no one tends to write a lot of that shit down.
Nobody does, and I love you guys' podcast too. I mean, I listen to podcasts on a subway or on an airplane, and the one you were telling the other day when Scott was talking about the dude that threw the turd out the window. I swear, man, I was on a flight and I started laughing out loud and people were staring. It was funny as shit. It was funny, and then after Troy said, "Oh my God," and started laughing again, and I just lost it. And it's funny, because I never knew what this place looked like, until now. And then now, you're listening to it and you form your own thing.
Now we've destroyed all those great images you probably had.
Well, it's like, seeing how the Millennium Falcon is really a prop. And then you're like, well, that's not really a really big thing.
It's
not really that cool
Basically,
anymore.
just like my playing in my career, it's all a facade.
Bullshit.
It's true. Obviously, you're traveling a lot, but sometimes you're on the plane and you can't get anything else working. But you can sometimes, if you got your phone set up, you can listen to a podcast, and it's great. You put your headphones in and you disappear.
I listen to GuitarWank, and I listen to a couple of Jude Gold's got one, and I listen to drummers. There's one called Drummers Resource, and there's another one called I'd Hit That, and it's a drum thing. And I don't know who this guy is because he doesn't say his name, and he's very sporadic with the episodes, but he's funny as shit. I think he's out here in LA, and he interviews all these big guys. But it's just like GuitarWank but drums.
Oh wow!
And they talk. It's just one guy, and it's funny, man.
I wonder if we had him on the show, if the worlds would collide.
Yeah.
Who's your dream guest? I know you have a few.
I think probably for me, God, it'd have to be Eddie Van Halen.
Oh God, look.
Right? It'd have to be Eddie.
He's like one of the only hero I've gotten to hang and actually know a lot of my guitar. I've never met Eddie. Never met him.
Who's some of the people that you met that you were just like, fuck, man, I can't believe. I mean, I still do that with Bruce and Scott.
Yeah,
but
I just met Bruce, but I knew of him.
Yeah,
but Scott was a hero of mine. Absolutely, man.
Is some players where you're just like, God, I can't believe I got to meet this guy, and sometimes it can be weird. Where you're like, man, I wish I had known.
Well,
that
what
guy.
I was going to say about Eddie is I know a lot of people that worked with him. Like I had a guitar tech who was Eddie's tech, Zeke Clark, and he was Eddie's tech during the Sammy days.
Yep.
And I've worked with Sammy, and I mean I've worked with him on the show and sat in with him a few times, and you hear stuff. I mean, Sammy never said any bad shit, but certain other people have told me things like, hey man, sometimes you don't want to meet your heroes. Because every day I'd ask, oh, man, tell me, Eddie. He's like, yeah, maybe you don't want to hear it. Maybe you don't want to meet him. But I don't know. And then other people say he's super cool.
Yeah.
Daryl was good friends with him,
I had Eddie Van Halen's very first guitar tech for me on Enrique Iglesias. Big guy.
You did that gig too?
I did it for a blink of an eye. Yeah,
wow.
I did it. But yeah, I had this guy, and he's just big, lovable teddy bear kind of guy, and he's like, yeah, I used to tech for Eddie. I was like his first guy. It's like, and now you're my guy. It's like, wow, you're such a sweetheart. But I think Eddie'd be cool. Eric Clapton, I'm sure it'd be interesting, but I don't know if he'd be much of a talker. He seems like he might be pretty reserved kind of bloke.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'd love to meet Jimmy Page, man.
Yeah.
I think that'd be pretty freaking cool. I don't know, any of the old cats, I think, just got so many stories because the music industry has changed so much and it's so different. It's nothing what Bruce and Scott grew up with, and I feel like, how old are you?
46.
What year? I mean, no, what month?
October.
Oh, I'm same. I'm August.
Yeah, we're about the same age. Yeah.
But I feel like our generation are kind of in the middle of that crossover.
Yeah.
Where I feel like if I was a little bit younger, I would have been hip to all this internet shit.
Right.
If I was a little bit younger. If I was a little bit older, I would have
You'd be hip to a
experienced.
typewriter.
Yeah, but I would have experienced all that really cool shit that I missed out on too. It was like, I feel like it was a weird.
I think growing up when we did, it was a really fertile time to play guitar, man. Because even the
true.
hair bands, which I grew up listening to a lot of that stuff. Everybody had a guitar solo. Everybody was fairly proficient. The guitar had a thing. And then you had, Scott and Bruce and these guys could probably get record deals back then. Nobody has that shit anymore. Schofield was on VH1, if you remember that.
Wow,
he had a couple of videos.
Didn't make it to Australia.
He did a video for Protocol. You know Protocol? Go gang, go gang, gang, go gang. That's the whole tune. It's like this atonal vamp with this diminished melody. It's like this thing, a G kind of ish key center.
Yeah.
There was a video for that on VH1.
Wow.
He's like going up Canal Street in Chinatown with his guitar playing. That's what it was, man. I mean, I would watch that shit and watch night music and listen to Warren DeMartini and then listen to Scott and then, Steve Vai and Wes Montgomery, all this stuff at one time, and the magazines were there, and it was just, now, I don't know, I guess it's because YouTube, anything you can imagine,
it's on YouTube.
There's 100 versions of it. I don't know if that's a better thing or...
I think for learning it's amazing, but it's taken a lot of the mystery away from everything. Like there's, I grew up with all my heroes on my wall.
Right.
And, that was the thing, and it was so cool. I just wanted to be that. But now it's so different.
I remember George Lynch was at GIT when I was there. He was
That's
there.
Hilarious.
He came in Scott's thing one day. I was sitting there with Scott playing a tune, and George Lynch is leaning against the wall watching Scott, and I was like, I got this dude's poster on my wall at home, and Scott's going, come on, man, you tune the guitar. Like, I was so intimidated. But those days are, I don't know, man.
It's all changed
I wonder if the guitar is even, I'm sure you guys talked about this at some point, but 20 years from now, if anybody's even going to play guitar.
Well, I don't know. I think there's guys like Pliny. Have you heard of Pliny, the Australian guitarist? Those guys are coming through and they're doing their stuff, and it's like a whole new scene that's coming up. But as in for pop music, it's there's no guitar solos.
I know.
Like there's no sessions for that kind of stuff, and it's changed, So
anyway,
what about bebop? Is that going to make a comeback, you think?
Oh, yeah, I'm ready. When it makes a comeback, I'm poised, man. I'm poised.
You could come. You know what? All you got to do, Bruce, is hook up with Kanye fucking West, and your shit will be the dope.
Or Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne.
Did you see the Lil Wayne guitar solo?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh my God, you haven't seen that?
I haven't seen it. I got to see it.
Oh, you got to watch that. That is good stuff, quality stuff. And somebody actually did like a compilation of the best solo. It's like 2 notes. He just learned how to play it like 2 days before, and he can pick 2 notes, and he's playing the solo. Owning it, but it's
And looking $1 million, right?
Yeah.
it's sad, man.
Yeah, when they're saying that Taylor Swift is she's like the next generation guitar hero.
Oh, dude, it's like, we played this jazz festival, and what is a jazz festival now? There's no jazz, It's... You guys always end on a low note.
I just got to say, I'm getting so excited to wake up tomorrow and
play guitar.
I wish Scott
safe.
would have been here because there's so much shit I wanted to remind him. Like, I remember he would play all this shit. He had his lick book of all these lines, man. He would go through and play. It was just killer shit, all this stuff he had lifted. And then we would just be there soaking it up. And I'm like 18 years old, like, wow. And then Scott would stop and just go, pfft. Wait till you guys get out of here and try to make a living with this shit. You know, and at the time it just went, I'm like, dude, you know, I'd see Alan Holdsworth and I'd think, man, these guys are stars, man. They're set.
Yeah.
You know, genius guitar player. And the end of the show, I walk around back, you know, to side stage to see if we can meet, and I see Gary Husband like pulling the Ryder truck back, like they're loading their shit and driving. You know, that's reality, but you're just oblivious to that when you're 18.
Well, you know, I mean, but you
And
know,
there's nothing
I mean,
wrong with it
on the
anyway,
one
but-
hand, yes, you know, of course, you're thinking that these people are, you know, bigger than life. So ergo, now you're making this jump that they're fantastically wealthy and highly resourced and probably even functional human beings. You know, you've made that
Right,
leap just
yeah.
because how much you dig their shit.
Right.
And they're just human beings,
Yeah.
you know, and we're all, you know, okay, some of us are still moving our equipment where others aren't. Everybody's got problems in their relationships and figuring out how life's going to work out. And shit, people with money seem to worry about having money more than the people that don't.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when it all comes down, I mean, I hate to kind of be sort of quasi-wise here, but, you know, it really comes down to quality,
Yeah.
you know, and understanding. Yeah, I mean, you know, Alan was, I didn't know him very well, but from what I can kind of ascertain, he really didn't enjoy his gifts, you know, to the fullest potential. And that's
Sort of
nobody's fault but his.
self-deprecating thing.
Yeah. And he obviously wasn't financially.
But he
on top of his
was
stuff.
doing well. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
come on, man. You know how many people I know, including myself, that would be glad to work every night and make $500.
Yeah.
And he could have done that easily. There was not a day of his life that if he didn't want to play a gig, he could have made $500. I'm sure of it. I'm just, you know, sorry. I'm sure if he had it together, you know, where he could have, $500 a day is pretty damn good for most of us. You know, I mean, I'm not suggesting it's a lot. You know, my point is like, Alan had demons. Maybe Alan didn't take care of business well. Maybe he did. I don't even know. But you know, I mean, I'm just kind of going off of what I don't know the guy, so I'm going off of what I heard.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, it's like, man, life is what it is. You said it. You know, we're playing a plank of wood with steel on it. That we hit it and it kind of makes a sound. And we're actually able to sustain ourselves by doing
Monetize
that.
it. I totally agree, Bruce. And then I think also with somebody like Holdsworth, it's such a signature sound, such a specialized thing that he can only do his own thing. I mean, he dabbled with Level 42, either for whatever reason he didn't want to keep doing it or whatever. But he just did his own shit, and like it's not like people are going to call him to play on.
Right,
you know.
but he had an opportunity. Really, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I really believe the world, with just a little bit of a little bit of shit together, he could have worked at a level where he was playing all the time to people who really loved him, making more than enough money to live a quality life.
Yeah.
Really, you know, which is can't say that for a multitude of guys I know who play their asses off.
Yeah.
Really. I can't say that about a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
You know, that it's just the world would not, the marketplace isn't there for them. They didn't make the choices in life. Their timing wasn't right. Their style didn't, you know, I mean, for whatever reason. You know, there's a lot of cats out there that would never have been the possibility. He had that. You know, and whether it was his own demons, whether it was his own self-deprecation, whether it was bad management, who knows what it was. You know, it could have been anything. He didn't really, you know, do it. You know, some people just don't want to play that much.
Yeah.
You know, me, I just gotta play all the time. Today I did a session. Like, these guys called me up. I mean, really cool cats. Hey man, we're playing. You want to come play? I said, yeah. So I went over and played this afternoon, and they were like, "You came over and played?" I said, "Yeah." They're like, I just thought it was the stupidest thing in the world texting you. You know, it's like, what do you mean? I want to play. You know, it's like I had the afternoon free. What's better than playing, working shit out, and figuring new things out, and playing with new guys? You know.
Yeah.
And they're like, it was like in their mind, you know, I guess so much of the world has become something else. I mean, I'm talking about mental health here.
Yeah.
You know, and what I learned today, I mean, it's going to be with me forever.
Yeah.
It made me a better musician and a better person. Didn't make any money.
Tens of dollars.
No. It cost me gas. That's basically it. And I learned about a new part of LA that I'd never been to. That drive-by trombone solo kind of got me, but other than that,
I respect, you know, doing what I do. I totally respect, man, guys like Wayne Krantz and Holsworth and guys that just refuse to. They just do their shit, and you know, I guess I've developed enough things where I could whore myself out, you know, to like good paying gigs and things. So I don't know. I kind of moved out of that thing, but I really respect it. It's so inspiring. That's the most inspiring shit to me personally. You know?
Yeah, I mean, but it's also like it's really interesting. I got friends. I got this one friend. He's in a great band, and he's been in this band for 20 years, and he started it, you know, and they're doing it, and he's great. The band's great. All he does is complain about it. You know, he really does. But I mean, he worked his. They got arrangement. He worked his sound is all predicated on just this setting, this thing. You know what I mean? It's so beautiful. And to me, I'm so jealous of that.
Yeah. Because
my life is kind of, well, yeah, I've got my own things, but I'm always doing new projects. So that's always changing. And then I'm a good side. I can comp. You know, so I'll play with lots of people. I'll get called to do all-star stuff. I'll get called to be in people's bands. I'll back up singers. Yeah. I love to do it, you know what I mean? Which means like my sound has to change with every new thing. I'm this like, even though I've got my sound, the qualities of it are always, you know, I mean, it's not like boxed in. It's very much, well, sometimes there's no bass player. Well, you know what I'm doing a lot of the time, and then there's a bass player, and I'm doing this. And sometimes there's no piano player. Well, you know what I'm doing all the time, and then now there's a piano player. So, you know, and like that guy is jealous of what I'm doing because he's just like so boxed in by his band, and I'm so jealous that he's got this group, and like all the work they do is to move this one thing that's like got a lot of fans and doing really well. You know what I mean? It's like we all have a tendency to, and it's not like the grass is greener. I think just as musical appreciators, we naturally appreciate what we don't have, along with what we do have. Mm-hmm. And we just, God, it'd be so cool just to have one sound and one way of playing and really get badass at that, you know? Like you say about Wayne or Alan, you know, yet at the same time, they're probably like going, shit, you know, or Scott, you know, who's probably writing, or, you know, maybe he's hanging out outside waiting to make a grand entrance. But, you know, like, I mean, there must be moments where he thinks, shit, you know, like, just to go out and play with the cats and do something completely different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, he's got to, at some point, miss that. Just because we appreciate I mean, to really be a musician is to appreciate it all.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I think it's to make the most out of whatever the fuck you're doing. And, I mean, this is beyond music. Life. You know what I mean? We're here for like a second.
Yeah.
Make the most out of everything, first of all. And then realize how lucky we are to be there. I mean, out of 1 million sperm, we were the fastest. Every one of us were the fastest, you know, and we won the biggest lottery already.
Yeah. But you do, you get caught up in your own world, and you constantly compare, and you're always thinking, man, I wish I was doing that, but Sometimes your own shit is
And
pretty
then
cool.
you hear yourself and you go, God, I'm lucky to be even fucking carrying a case.
Absolutely.
around."
That's what I meant with the whole, plank of wood and string thing. We're lucky to be able to do what we do, man. It's
Or just,
really,
if you really honestly listen to yourself, whether it's while you're playing or recorded, and recorded is usually better because it's the most objective aspect you'll get. Man, if you can sit and listen to that and think like you really, deserve more than you're getting, I want to meet that guy. You know what I mean? Because it's like, come on. If you, whew.
I just see cats like, you see guys at like the local blues jam and they can't wait, man. They save up their licks and everything for the weekend. They go and do their big thing. And they have more fun than guys I know touring or doing sessions every day.
And who are playing their asses
playing
off,
their ass
right.
off, making great money, like a quote pro. And they're not having fun at all, And I know guys like they've told me that. So who's more successful? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
What's the definition of success then? If
Exactly.
it's happiness, then it's the cat playing the shitty blues jam because he loves every minute of it, man. He's like loving it. He's on a high all week. And there's a guy who plays Madison Square Garden. He's like, oh shit, I should be getting
Couldn't
per
get my
diem for this
tone.
day
Couldn't
tomorrow.
get
And
my
I should
tone.
my tone's messed
My
up.
tone.
And, it's like it's
That's fucking crazy that it's all relative.
it's all relative.
It's all
So
your
relative.
and it has to do with your relatives too.
It's all relative. It's like it's an incestuous thing.
It is. I've been in situations where we're about to walk on stage, sold out stadium, Les Paul, Marshall Stack, and I'm like, fuck, I'd rather be home watching Netflix.
Yeah, I've done
Because
that
the
too.
gig
I'm
wasn't
Shame
there.
on
I
you.
know, right? And
Shame
the whole band was
on
like
you.
that. We were all like that. But we were in fucking Russia in the middle of winter, so, that had something to do
Well,
with it too.
I had
so.
a kid, and one of my students came, and we were playing. And the kid is fucking amazing. Fuck him. Anyways, but played more shit. And, but it was kind of a drag to play with, a little bit. But, I said, well, what was that about? What do you think? Well, I just, I just couldn't get anything happening.
He said that.
Yeah, I just kind of, it didn't really feel. I just kind of just kept just playing stuff. And I said, get the fuck out of here. I said, this lesson is over.
Wow.
Don't you ever play music around me without giving a fuck again.
Wow.
Don't you ever. You're shitting on the grave of all my heroes. You're shitting on all the work of my life. Get your fucking ass out of here. Come back here when you want to play music.
Wow.
And he quit.
No, he really thanked me for that.
Yeah.
It's like, you pick up a guitar and you ain't meaning it, fuck you.
Right.
I'm here to say fuck you to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I that's
You're
interesting,
shitting
Bruce.
on so much
Yeah.
beauty, so much importance. You're not just shitting on yourself. You're shitting on the heroes. You're shitting on the music. Fuck you.
I love that.
Move over and let somebody who cares do it.
Yeah.
Fuck you.